Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to my channel, and today in this video we are going to be doing a breakdown of the latest Dying Light 2 trailer. Alright, so as soon as the trailer starts we can see a building with zombies on top, and the building is called Access Market. So this building can be one of those abandoned buildings where you will find good resources. It's like a quarantine zone but way bigger. Also in the same building we can see zombies standing on what appears to be a trap, something like spikes from Dying Light. So a few seconds later in the trailer we can see the pathway created by survivors to travel from one building to another. Also on the right we can see a survivor fighting some zombies who are actually called degenerates in the game, who are actually weak zombies but at the same time deadly. And if you pay attention you will also see a red smoke in the background, which kind of suggests that we will have airdrops in the game, or maybe it's just a flare used by a survivor to call for help. And I'm sure you guys can also see the zombies are out during the day. They are like everywhere on top of the buildings as well as inside the buildings. In the next scene we can see the main character jumping out of the building, but before that we can see him passing through two zombies who appear to be not attacking, and both of them are kind of idle, as if they are hibernating and they didn't want it to waste their energy. Now as we go ahead in the trailer we can see the main character jumping on the train while doing his parkour moves. Also while jumping you will see a hidden docket code that says hope never dies. If you redeem the docket code on dockets.dyinglightgame.com you get the last hope weapon blueprint in Dying Light, and that last hope weapon is actually from Dying Light 2. So while the main character was performing a parkour move while jumping and swinging on the train, you can actually see a vehicle pass by right below the train. So it looks like the main character was chasing something, as we have seen him do this before in another gameplay. So it looks crazy, and you can see it's literally moving. It's not a still vehicle, it's actually moving. Now you might have also noticed some zombies in the train. Well, they're also the same zombies, the weak ones as well as the deadly ones. Also during the jump you can see his bracelet light is green, which means he's not yet infected. And in the next scene we pass by a building named Scrubs, which actually can be a reference to an old comedy series called The Scrubs. So maybe this building is an abandoned hospital, and at the left we can see some survivors addressing the area. So maybe they have already captured this place or are planning to capture it. And on the right side we can see some rooftop farm. The developers were talking about it in different articles, at the same time also revealed in one of the concept arts. So most of the captured roof actually has a farm. The next scene was a bit unexpected because it showed some people having sort of party. So maybe in different factions you will see these types of activities, because it looks like a group of survivors who are working as a team to either protect themselves or protect what's left. We also see these survivors using UV light indoors to keep them safe from outside dangers. At the same time it can stop them from not turning into an infected zombie. So that's why we see a UV light here. During a scene where the girl is singing, you can see in the back a small note that says dusk to dawn curfew. This whole word actually has a meaning. It means a regulation requiring people to remain indoors between specified hours, typically at night. So it's obvious why that note is actually there. So yeah, that note is actually telling people to stay indoors and not go outside during the nighttime. In the next scene we get a close-up of skyscrapers and the main character. We see that he's inside a building with some zombies who appear not to be attacking them. And yes, they are the weak zombies again. Their actions suggest that they are actually resting and hibernating. I've said it before, and it always looks like that. Now we see the main character tackle the zombie and fall on the ground while dropping the zombie on its back and killing him. This looks like a new finisher, so you'll most likely see it in Dying Light 2 as a new finisher. Now we see our main character addressing the fire which has been spread in these buildings. And in the next scene we see our main character running inside a building when a weak platform breaks and the main character falls down, breaking different layers of platforms, and now he's actually in the dark zone. This actually looked like a trap to me, because if we see there is actually a note that said bargain here. So maybe the character was going there to buy some weapons or any other in-game stuff, but instead he gets stuck in this trap. In the next scene, now the character is inside the dark zone where he fell, and I'm sure you guys know what dark zones are. It's like quarantine zones, but this one has barely any light and it's way bigger than any of the quarantine zones we have seen before. It's literally dark in here and the zombies inside are violent. Just like the night walkers from Dying Light, but these ones are vicious and are way faster than any of the zombies you've seen in Dying Light. We see our character doing a wall run, and at his left we have 4 Nightwalkers following him, and in the next scene we see the character climbing a ladder which appears to be embedded with UV light. But for some reason it's not turned on, so maybe the main character was doing a mission to bring back electricity or turn the lights back on. So while he was climbing, we see the Nightwalker is trying to grab his leg, and at that moment we can also see some sparks, which looks like the power is about to turn on. And one thing to mention here is that if you see the zombie hand, it actually has the same wristband you have, but all the light here is actually turned red, which means if all the lights on your wrist turn red, you will become an infected zombie. I feel like there are different stages of infected and the light represents that. Now we see our character escape the dark zone, and while sliding out you can see him grab either a bow or some sort of weapon. It's most likely a bow, but for some reason it also looks like a boomerang, as a lot of people have said, but for me it looks like a bow. A boomerang is also possible because it does exist in the medieval times, but it's just something we'll find when the game actually comes out. Also, while our character was sliding outside, you see this zombie that actually looks frozen, and checking every single frame, I thought that the zombie wasn't moving. He literally is stuck and frozen. I don't know the reason, but it looks weird seeing the zombie frozen and not doing anything, but there has to be some explanation for this. So maybe we'll have to look at more gameplay or get any details from the developers to understand why this zombie is frozen. Now we get back to the scene where our character is addressing the area again, which is covered in fire. And in the next scene we can see some survivors fighting peacekeepers. It looks like the peacekeepers are preventing these survivors from entering a place. Maybe they are stopping them from entering the safe house. I mean, what could be the reason, right? Well, I think maybe the reason is because the survivors are infected and the peacekeepers don't want any infected survivors in their camp. The next scene after that shows that the peacekeepers are separating the people and are moving them away from this location. So some people are trying to stop peacekeepers from doing this. That's why they're fighting, and there's a brawl, as you can see. Now we're back to addressing the area again. The main character looks at the left side where he sees that some bandits are actually trying to take over this survivor camp. This rooftop looks like it's a base of survivors, and they are living here as well as farming. And the bandits are here to capture this place. I feel like you'll have to defend that, but you don't see that in this story trailer, so maybe in the next gameplay we actually get to see that. Now in the next scene we see another protagonist who looks like a leader of a group who is punishing some people for something, and the punishment he has given is actually execution. So before these guys were about to get executed, our main character saves both survivors by punching and kicking the bad guys. For some reason, a character is still addressing the location during the night. I wonder how long he's been standing there. Like literally there has been 4 or 5 scenes of him literally standing in that one place. Now in this very scene, we see some survivors running from the zombies, and one of the survivors actually has a portable light. Something you will need to carry with you so you don't turn into a zombie and you can stay immune from the virus. In the same scene, we also see the street lights are made of solar panels. So I wonder why they're switched off. I mean, if the street lights have solar panel, it should work, but it's not working. So maybe we'll find out about that later if we get more gameplay on Dying Light 2. The next scene we see here is actually insane, where we see some peacekeepers protecting some survivors, and they are surrounded by zombies. And during the same scene, we also see some survivors running through the horde of zombies. It's actually one survivor, and he tries to regroup with his people, but the peacekeepers don't allow that, and they push him away, more likely kicked him away, because the peacekeepers don't want to take a risk of inviting an infected person to enter the base. In the next scene, we are introduced to our main character, Aiden, and then the camera focuses on his wristband and he says that he's infected. and then we see the green light turn red. So by looking at this, I can see that he's actually in the first stage of being infected. As you have seen in the other zombies, if all the lights on your band are red, that's when you become a zombie. But here we can see he's actually in the first stage, so he will have to go in a UV light or in sunlight to actually fix himself. So for people wondering what exactly this wristband does, well, this is the explanation the developers have given. So everyone in the city has to wear one, as it shows the level of infection in your bloodstream. If it's green, then that person is safe. If it flashes red, then they may be at risk of turning. It does affect gameplay. For example, prolonged time spent in darkness reduces your immunity, but you can use UV light to restore it. So that was the explanation given. So everyone has that wristband in the game. That's why you see the zombies also have it, because those are actually those survivors who have turned into a zombie. And later after that, boom, 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 spring 2020. So in March, April, or May, or June, that's when the game is going to come out. It can be any month, so we don't know. Now, if you guys are wondering who's the main character in this game and you have a lot of questions about Dying Light 2, don't worry, there is a video coming out tomorrow. I'm working on it. It might come today as well. So after the Square Enix E3 event, I'm going to be making a lot more videos, and one of the videos will answer all your questions. So till then, stay hyped, and I'm going to see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.